everyone, in this video I'm going to be comparing 3 different brands of saw stand and miter saws. I'm going to be going over the specs, the lengths, what they can cut, my honest review on it. This is non-sponsored, so follow along. We got the RYOBI, RIDGID, DEWALT. Let's start with the cheapest one here. This is the RYOBI. It retails for $160 Canadian, and it often goes on sale. So this is 52 length as it's compacted and it's foldable. The thing weighs 40 pounds. This has a nice handle on the bottom. It has the same buttons that you push to open it up. It has buttons that you push and the legs fold down. They also lock into place. So this is really handy because this saw stand, it doesn't wobble. Once you have it down, it's locked in place. So let's move on to the next saw stand, the RIDGID. This saw stand is considered their professional one. That's what they sell it as. It costs $180 new. It's heavier than the RYOBI. This is 43 pounds, and it's a slight bit shorter. It's about 51 inches in length. So the nice thing is this saw stand has wheels on. It's easy to use. It has these push triggers so you can slide down the legs. The one thing I am going to say about this saw stand, there's an issue I've had with it, which I'll come back to later. So that is the RIDGID. Now we'll go into the DEWALT. So this DEWALT is the most expensive, $310 regular price. I just saw it on sale for $230. It is actually the lightest one, weighing 35 pounds, and it's the longest. This is 70 inches when it's compacted. DEWALT makes a few different size saw stands. This is the heavy duty one and the longest one. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, we'll go back to the RYOBI. We will fully open it up and check the max length on this. So with the arms fully extended, it spans 9 foot 6 inches. So a total of 9 foot 6 inches. The RIDGID one spans a total 9 foot. And then this DEWALT spans max span 12 foot 8 inches. Now let's get into mounting the saws onto the saw stand. The RYOBI, it locks into place easily. You can slide it back and forth on the saw stand and you still have quite a bit of room. The RIDGID also locks in place. You can slide it, but it hits these trays. So you really don't have much room for adjustment. You have about 6 inches. The DEWALT locks in place as well, and again you can slide it and you have quite a bit of room. The next thing I want to demonstrate, when you're using a saw stand, you're going to be cutting long material. So the one thing I want to show you is I've got a piece of trim here, 14 feet in length. The nice thing about it is I can extend this arm, and you see it supports the material, but I can slide this saw all the way to the other end so it can support even more. I can cut this 14 footer and it's fully supported. The one thing I don't like about this RIDGID stand, it's nice and compact, but like I showed earlier, you can only move this saw about 6 inches. If you're using a saw and a saw stand, you're going to be working with long material. So if we move back, you can see I've got this 14-foot piece of trim. There's no way I can measure that accurately. It can't even support a 14-footer. So that's one thing that I don't like about this. It's not long enough. Being able to take your saw, slide it end to end, it makes a huge difference, especially if you're cutting miters and bezels on either end. It easily will support this 14-foot piece of material. As you can see, I hardly have any bend on it. There's so much room, it supports it no problem. So I really do like that about the DEWALT. The other thing is, there's not much play in here. So when you set your saw up, you want to level the arms out. You have your arms so the material's level. This doesn't move very much. The RIDGID is very similar as well, where there's next to no play in here, so it doesn't move. The one thing I've noticed with the RYOBI stand, there's a lot of slop in here. So this whole thing moves a lot, and it affects it keeping the material level. Overall, all three saw stands are great. There's one thing I don't like about this RIDGID one. It has the wheels on it. And the problem is you wheel it around and then you go to lift it up. These legs have started bending on me. They've started bending and the material has started bending and it no longer sits perfectly level. I don't like that. I don't like how there's no room to slide on here. Kind of useless having such a small saw stand, because what? Why would I want a saw stand if I'm only cutting 6-footers? I want it so I can cut 16-foot baseboard, crown molding, trim. The other thing, if you're looking to abuse these things, cut pressure treated, 4x4s, deck boards, 2x6, 2x8. This is not what you want. It's too light, too flimsy, it's gonna break. The RYOBI is very durable. You can beat that thing up, cut heavy material. Sure, there's a little bit of movement in the arms, but it is very sturdy. Same with this DEWALT. You can abuse it as well, cut big material, and it's gonna last and not get broken. My honest opinion for people, it's not a sponsored video. The RYOBI saw stand coming in at $160, 40 pounds, the 9'6" of length. That's hard to beat. It goes on sale often. Hard to beat that. You can kind of beat this thing up, use it, abuse it. The DEWALT is probably the best saw stand here. That being said, it's double the price. It's lighter weight, it's longer, so there are pros to it. The saws don't slide as well on it, but the mounts, they slide better on the RYOBI. I wouldn't recommend this one to people. I would say either spend the money, get the DEWALT. If you want to save money, the RYOBI is pretty similar, just cheaper and smaller. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Follow along. I post a ton of content on social media.